If the YouTube channel is the long form book novel, then my Instagram account story is the paperback. I ran most of my home improvement project through Instagram stories. Yeah, it's all me, folks. But what's awesome is the first time I get to see everything open up. Yeah, that wall had to come down. New kitchen, new entrance. I got a 180-degree lake. Whoa, 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 whoa. We're having a hearing on my property. Public hearing that we're having court. Your approval for permitting. But this isn't a fix and a flip. This is my forever home. And with your assistance in this, I can make that happen. And I appreciate it. Today is sample day. Walnut wood. Against this, and you know, the whole back of the house is going to be windows and open. It has been mind-numbing how I can't get anybody to really work. And when I mean work, I mean like I hire somebody and they run with the ball. I don't know what I'm doing. Fragments to put it together. Look at that view. My goodness. But you know, you'd have to show up to put it together. Don't you want to be done? Wow. Don't you want to be done with me as much as I want to be done with y'all? Did somebody say block? They found in here. These are glass bottles. First time I can get a feel of this is the entryway. This is the foyer. And then boom, 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 shakalaka boom. I saw this when there was nothing. I saw the chunk of clay before it was carved into. Yeah, imagine today they're coming up here. Wow, it's still going on here. Wow. At the end of this week, will I have stucco and paint? Yeah, it's very simple. And then the wood, it's richer, walnutty. God, I want to see it without all of this. I spent a little extra money for this wall over here. I had this vision. I had a vision that I wanted to see it all in walnut. 8 to 9 feet of walnut panels. I have a special place in the house that I knew they were going. Taken paper, and I have cut out a pattern 9 times, and then with tape, I have spaced it out. I know. Visually, it's correct. When I put a level to this wall, it's crooked. So, seems to be a little more instant. And again, I believe I'm gonna start with that very middle one. I think that's a tile rule. Let's do it, let's do it, let's do it, let's do it. I wanna make this place, I wanna make this corner special. Time to segue back a couple months ago to tell you what's behind this wall. June 1st, 2020. Today's the day that I'm having walls put inside of my house. It's a big day. It's the beginning of what the end will be. You know, I did my own demolition. It felt like anything but a home. All right, so now, this is my future home. But this right now, it's the first time I get to see it open. That whole back wall is glass. And although it's not complete, I will tell you there are days that I doubted that it would ever be done. And how I came to peace with that is I framed it as that not being able to finish something is not a failure. It's not a success, but it's how you spent your time. That actually helped me. I feel like that didn't make sense. But there's building inside. They're putting walls up. And as of June 1st, 2020, I will not have access to the secret compartment vault that I had built in. It was a dead space of 10 inches and 4 feet over. Anyway, but then I'm gonna put pictures and tell stories and everything. I'm gonna put my entire book in there. This is my father's eulogy. I spoke at my father's funeral. I opened it. I introduced the pastor. I wanted to do something for him. I wanted to do something for myself. I realized standing up there, wrapped in the pride and the respect and the morals, values, principles, and ethics that he taught me, that does represent him. It felt good. You know, I did my mother's hair. I did her makeup. It was one of the last nice things you can do for somebody. I made good on a promise today. So, tomorrow's the funeral. So, I didn't really cry. I just got to the job, talked to her, hey mom, did her hair. And then when I was blowing it dry and it was heating it up, my mom's smell. And I had smelled that, and that kind of got me. And I went down to give her a kiss on the forehead, and it's ice cold, and we put her in the casket, and we arranged her and everything. She was beautiful. So I knew I was doing it for her, but it's something that helped me, and then it also allowed my father to see me differently. It was the beginning of the relationship with him that I never had. No, we never had. Let's say that. Yeah. I lifted her body. I put her in the casket, from gurney to the casket. It was an amazing opportunity. The head start that my father, my mother gave to me is why I'm here today. The fight that I've had, oh my God, my parents would have loved this. They did not want things to be easy for me. They would be so excited about today, this summer, but they would enjoy every bit of the process. Putting some photos in there. It's views of the house that I thought always would be. 50 pages. On February 2018, I welcomed friends and family to the burial service of my father. He and I wore matching U.S. flag ties. His casket and body were guarded by officers of the Sanford Police Force and eventually turned over to the representatives from the United States Navy. With a proud heart, a quickly written speech, a video monitor of photos, and a bottle of champagne and a glass hidden behind the podium, I gave his eulogy. Welcome to the steadfast and dutiful Sanford Police Department, the Honorable United States Navy, and the friends and family of my father. The family of my father. I've had a lifetime of not really knowing who I was actually related to. Uncle Bucky, Grandpa Bucky, Aunt Donna. He was like an uncle to me, I'd hear. He was like a dad to me, they say. Well, he was a dad to me. My name is Tony, and I am my father's son. Recently, my sister and I cleaned out my father's house, and I found something very important. I discovered that he was human. He wasn't faster than a speeding bullet. He wasn't more powerful than a locomotive. He could, however, leap over tall buildings in his day, though. He was just a man who missed his wife dearly. A sweet, kind old man died in Edgewater, Florida recently. Well, that's how it would appear without any understanding. Today, we're going to acknowledge and appreciate how important he is, not was. If we learned anything from him or inspired by him, then a piece of him will walk with us always. He led an intentional life of choices. He chose to lead a patriotic life. He chose to enforce the law. He chose a life of hard work. He chose his conviction of integrity. He chose his wife, and he chose his family. I am honored to say, I am one of my father's choices. I was adopted. I am one of my mother and father's choices. And how lucky for me. My name was Richard. I'm on formula. I had rice and oatmeal, I had oatmeals. Ordinarily, he sleeps through the night. Richard. My father said that my mother hated that name. Lucky me, I am one of my father's choices. Born Edward Francis Jr., named after his father. As a 12-year-old boy, he worked in the tobacco farms. In later years, my father told me that no one could pick, sort, and hang tobacco leaves to dry as fast as he could, and I believed him. He eventually made enough money to gamble in the back alleys of his Connecticut hometown. And with that money, he bought boxing gloves, where he would illegally street fight for the win, which got the attention of his grandfather, who was the chief of police. It's like an old James Cagney movie. Always in trouble, he ended up in reform school, which was also a trade school, where he learned wiring and electricity. After just turning 17, one day he took a live wire and gave the kid next to him a jolt. Years later, when he told me the story, I said, "Dad, why did you do that?" He pissed me off," he said. Later that day, his father came to pick him up, and they silently drove off. No words were said, and instead of going home, his father drove him to the bus station where a military recruiter and a bus was waiting for him. His father signed him over to the United States Navy at 17 years old. "Dad, were you mad?" I said. "I was at first, but I liked it once I got in," he told me. He actually loved it. And from that point on, the concept of service would continually and eventually define him. In the early 1950s, in between deployments in the Mediterranean and Korea, my father found himself stationed at a Navy base in Sanford, Florida. And as fate would have it, a couple miles from the base, there was a little diner named the Pig and Whistle. A very 1950s drive-in. This was something out of the television show Happy Days, with curbside service and some very flirtatious waitresses. One of those lovely car hops was Donna Mae Woods. Now, my father knew of this pretty little thing because the sailors would frequent a bar in town which my grandmother owned. I only recently learned this part. It still amazes me that that sweet Baptist grandmother, who eventually came to live with us, owned a saloon. "What? I got a girl I want you to meet," she would tell my sailor dad. In April 1952, they married and began the architecture of their future family. Today, my father's life is why I'm here. I wrote something for the future. For you to find this, it means that I am no more. My unremarkable life is over and has all but been forgotten since my family and friends have exited and I am the last to leave. Hello, my name was Tony Hayden. Legally I have a slew of other names. However, for this preserved painting of the past, I shall expect you to call me Tony. To understand who I am, I must introduce you to my parents. If I'm blessed, lucky, and healthy, I have another 25 to 30 years left on the planet. I built this home as a love letter to my dog, Meatball. He and I have had many struggles to get to today. And my wish for his and my future is that we get to exhale here and enjoy the property and new home. I finish this with optimism, hope, and happiness. When you read this, I am no more. But for 30 to 50 years from now, I hope that my soul vibrates and gets to live again. But what I've left here today, it in the wall. The story of he, my mother, my family, and Meatball. Yeah. When I did my demolition, I found trash in the walls. I know what it's like to find garbage. So let's leave some love. It's important to me that I tell my parents' story and that I make my father part of the house. You see, my father was a policeman to protect and to serve, and if you have to have an angel on your side, that's the one you want. And he never stopped working. So anyway, I want to be able that when I come home, I know he's there. My mother and father chose a life without to make sure that their children had. This, everything is them. So, thank you.